walk around of our netting machine used for deploying and removing netting from orchard crops and vineyards. And it's unique in that it uses just a steel core to store the net on. The drum ends are removable for the next net in line, and the net, as it's when it's wound off, after it's wound off, you just end up with a bunch of cores. But conversely, when you wind your netting on, you're storing that netting right on the cores, and you can store them amongst your trees, or you can just take them to the barn. But you don't have any hassle of having each net with a big end reel, which takes up a huge amount of space and is really inconvenient. You can either power it on or power it off. Mostly we would just freewheel off with the tractor driving forward and the crew pulling the net out over the crops from either side of the rows. This design is a fairly large design in that it packs a lot of net, and you can do up to 5 rows at a time for coverage in a vineyard. If you're doing an orchard, if you're wanting to do 2 rows at a time with a single net, you can do that as well. Particularly for hail netting and other applications. The valve system is such, there's a 2-way selector valve. One way, it goes to the boom, and it raises and lowers the boom. The other way, it goes through the, it operates the net reel and the level wind, the spooler. As you come around here, there's 2 things that we can deal with. Here is your control valve for your boom. This flow control can control the speed of your drum, and if you turn it too far over, it actually affects the level wind flow control. The beauty of this flow control being how it is you could slow this down just to a creep. So you got fully adjustable speed on your level wind, which is really important, particularly when you're starting off with a very narrow row and you want to cover it up. As you get larger, get onto a larger roll, as it starts to fill out on the drum, you might want to speed this up a little bit. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm going to start this and show you action. This control valve operates the speed of your level line. You get it up to full speed. But normally, particularly when the drum is empty or just starting on a roll, you just want to set it at a creep. You'll see how nicely that rolls on. This is the guts and the brains of the entire machine right here, and this is what makes it such a success. Okay, now this boom at this point is about 20 feet off the ground, 20 to 21 feet. You get an extra couple of feet raising and lowering your 3-point hitch. This unit is run completely off the tractor hydraulics and the 3-point hitch. so you don't have to have any additional hydraulic motors or pumps to run this thing. People might want very widespread, or they might want a narrow spread. I've always gone by the premise, the higher you get it, the better you are. And when you get higher, you can actually go into a narrower spread for your spreading bar for your netting. And it makes it a little bit easier for handling and managing and not hooking on trees and posts and stuff as you go by them and don't see them. You can also, we've made it so it's that height, and if it's higher than a person really wants it, particularly if you're working in a vineyard, you may want a lower unit. So just remove some of the half of the length of the aluminum on the main shaft of the aluminum where it fits into the steel. Remove the half the length of that, and you'll end up with something that might be more suitable to your needs. The slingshot in the front, we pick over the front and through the slingshot and down through the orange rings, kind of square rings, down into your level line and then onto your drum. Ideally, you can do your pickup and you can remove all the top unit and just use the slingshot up there for your retrieval and retrieve over the front of the tractor. In tractors which have a exhaust coming up, you have a couple of options. One, you can build a guard around the exhaust. The other option, which people use, is just weld a piece of pipe on either side of your loader or either side of your frame, and then just make a pipe, and it can rest on the pipe and carry it over the operator and up to the rigs where it ends up in the drum. And it's nice and it's out of the way. You can retrieve it using the spreader by turning this boom 180 degrees. I don't recommend it, and the reason I don't recommend it is because I just don't like the idea of an operator riding along underneath anything, and I don't care how large or small it is. I just, this is very, very strong, but accidents can happen, and if we can avoid them, it's better. So I just prefer to keep it in a single position for the retrieval and the deployment. If you've got a full cab on your tractor, that's a different thing. You're protected. Then if you want to have it so it brings it up over the front and you're picking it before the tractor gets to it, then that's great. It works really well.